Hey guys, I'm Alan Tsao, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about what to do when you're not good at something. So, especially this happens a lot in physics. I get students who are generally really good students. Like a lot of you guys are superstars. And what happens is you come to physics and you kind of get your butt kicked a little bit, all right? This happens to everyone, no matter what you're going to do in college. If you've never had to struggle with a class before, and you've come to the first time and you're like, oh, not only is it a new subject, but I'm not really good at it. I got news for you. This is going to happen to you at some point, okay? So for me, for example, the first time I got my butt kicked was when I went to college. I took linear algebra my first semester. It was a big mistake to do a very difficult math class. I was always a good math student. So AP calculus, no problem. Even AP physics B, the easier version, I would say, of AP physics, no problem. But physics and the math class that I took at Berkeley first semester, oh man. It's the first time I walked out of class being, I have no idea what that guy was talking about. And I didn't understand the lessons and the lectures. And that was a little bit scary. I want you guys to know you don't want to think of that as, oh man, I should not be here. I am not ready for this. I am not going to be good at this. Okay? Unfortunately, kind of the way primary school works, or, you know, like your elementary, middle school, high school education is like, a lot of the things are pretty easy. Not to say like it's always super easy, but there's a huge gap when we go to like a college level kind of experience. And it can be really disheartening to be like an A student, then only coming back with B's and C's. That happens a lot in AP physics in high school for some students. It's like, man, this is the first time I'm really having to struggle with it. But my point is that you will always struggle with some class at some point in your future if you haven't already. I know almost no one, even the most brilliant people that I knew, that I went to school with, and I know some really brilliant people, way smarter than me, who did not find everything super easy. So you don't want to go in with this mindset of, hey, if it's not easy, it's not for me. What I see happen so often, what I don't want to happen to you, is to be like, okay, physics is hard. Maybe I'm not meant to study physics, or I don't want to study something that's related to physics. Guess what? The things that are worth doing, some of them are hard. There will be steps along that journey that are difficult. I really enjoyed my time in college, but I did have hard classes, and they primarily happened in the very beginning when it was like the first time I had to deal with difficult class. And it could have been easy. I could have been like, well, maybe I should just pick something that's easy for me, something that I'm good at, whatever that means. That's not the way you want to go picking things in life, because the best things in life, the biggest fundamental changes to your life are when things are hard and you got to push through them. That's really important. I'm not even just talking about subject. I'm just talking about you want to ask a girl out, you want to get stronger in relationships. Some of those things are very difficult, and you got to find a way to push through them. A lot of you have kind of had this built up mental image that like, hey, do the thing that's easy for you. Do the path of least resistance. And you might feel like that's what you want. You want life to be easy. But I'm telling you now that it's not going to get you to a life that you really want at the end of the day. Okay? So don't give up. So I'm just using AP Physics as a kind of an example here, as an illustration. AP Physics 1 is difficult. But don't give up on it. That doesn't mean that you won't be good at physics, or you won't understand the physics, or you shouldn't be an engineer, or you shouldn't do anything related to physics. Okay? It just means that it's hard right now, and you don't get it yet, and that's okay. That's a normal thing. That's part of the learning process. For those of you who've been very gifted, very lucky, like I was lucky to go through high school and not really feel too much of a struggle, okay? You will struggle at some point in your future, and you have to deal with that. You have to accept that there are things that you want to learn, that you need to learn, that are going to be hard in your life, and they're going to be difficult. That doesn't mean you should give up on it. It just means you should not be like, well, I got a C in the class, I got a C minus, I should not be doing physics anymore. That's not the attitude. That just means, hey, you don't know it yet. That's a key word. That word yet is really important. You don't know it yet. You can learn it. You will do better at it, okay? I took 2 years of physics, and I still didn't know how to draw a free body diagram. It wasn't until the third time I did physics that I learned how to do a free body diagram correctly, okay? If I had taken the attitude of, man, this is really hard, I shouldn't have done this, you guys wouldn't see me here. I wouldn't have become an engineer. I would have given up a long, long time ago. Because the first time it became hard, the first time a class was difficult, I just sort of moved away from it. Now, if you just don't think you want the outcome of being an engineer or doing some of those things, I completely understand that. But don't take a bad grade in AP Physics or a bad score on the AP Physics exam as a sign that you should be giving up on that kind of future, that you should give up on learning physics, even if you have to do a major that requires you to take it again. Don't give up. Some of the biggest things that I learned were when I did poorly and I pushed through. Yeah, I'll give you my last example here. I talked about when linear algebra, first math class I took, first B I got in it. Actually, first C on a midterm, okay? And I pushed hard. I kept working at it. I was like, I'm going to determine to do it. And at the end, I could only pull it up to a B. I was like, surely I can figure this out. Surely I can do this. I can learn this. I just didn't learn it that first time around. Okay, so then I take the upper division version of linear algebra, Math 110 at Berkeley. And that was the more difficult version, more advanced version of the class I just got a B in, right? I know I'm a glutton for punishment, right? And so I do it and I get an A in that class. Because I finally understood what it was like to push through, to actually have to study hard, have to work at it and figure it out. But the big thing is that I didn't give up on it. I'm being like, well, I really suck at math. Maybe linear algebra is not for me. I really want you to take away from that story is that just because it was difficult for me doesn't mean that it wasn't worth learning and it wasn't worth pushing through, and that ultimately I could be good at it. I just wasn't good at it the first time I took it. And that's okay. It's okay I wasn't good at it immediately.